Alright guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to create a tree view, and a tree view is a special type of list in JavaFX because what you can do is you can actually take your list items and arrange them in a hierarchy. And this is actually an example of a tree view right over here. And basically, like I said, what you can do is you can have your list items and then you can pretty much make sub items. And I'll give you guys a terminology real quick. Of course, whenever you create your main tree, you always need a root. So every tree has one single root. This is pretty much the main trunk or the main overall tree itself. Just think of it like that. So pretend this external libraries thing isn't even in here. I don't want to confuse you guys. So in this example, our root would be Bucky. Now, once we have our root, we can start adding branches to it. So one branch would be idea, one branch would be out, one branch would be source. So again, they just referenced everything, kind of named it like a tree. You have a root, and then you can have a bunch of branches on it. And of course, your branches can have other branches, or you can just have a single item on it. And whenever you have an item that doesn't have any children, it's technically called a leaf. But I don't want to confuse you guys too much. A lot of terminology, so let's go ahead and get started. You guys are going to see what I'm talking about. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create an overall tree view. And what data do we want to stick on the tree? Well, how about a bunch of strings? And I'm just going to name this tree. So this is pretty much going to be the overall tree, the all-encompassing everything. So the next thing, let me just add it right under here. 50. Alright. Alright. So now I want to go ahead and set up all of the items, including the root and any branch that I'm going to make. Now, all of those are just tree items. These are pretty much generic stuff that you can add on your tree. And of course, those are strings as well. So again, remember I told you guys, we have our main root, which is our overall trunk that we're going to be sticking our branches on. And then we can just have some branches. And I'll just say I have for this demo, I'll just have 2 branches, and whenever you expand it, instead of, Java files, I'll just say a list of, like, my favorite items. So, like, corn, ice cream, The Walking Dead, and Megan's will be, like, glitter, makeup, girly stuff, just a real simple demo. So, again, we're going to make a Bucky and Megan branch, and we're going to be sticking these on the root. So, let's go ahead and set up the root first. So for the root, all we have to do is we have to set this equal to a new tree item. Now we don't need to do anything fancy to this, since all this root's going to do is it's pretty much just going to be a container for all of our branches. So we don't have to like I said, do anything fancy. The one property that I do want to change is set expanded and set that equal to true. And all this is going to do is whenever our program first starts, I'm going to set everything equal to expanded. And that just means your program can first start with everything collapsed like this. I'm just going to have everything expanded by default. So, you guys know what expanded means. Alright. So, what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be building the Bucky branch and the Megan branch. Now, whenever you're building a branch to your tree, it's actually really easy. You make an item, and then you say, what do you want its parent to be? So, for example, production right here, the parent would be out. Bucky right here, the parent would be production. Main, the parent would be Bucky. And whenever you have 2 items kind of in the same location, those are called either siblings. And whenever, or you can say like main.class is the child of Bucky. So this is the parent, this is the child, and these 2 are siblings. So, this is all just really terminology, but I don't want to, confuse you guys. And instead of having to rewrite the same code over and over, I'm going to show you guys how to do this really easily. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new method called makeBranch. Now, this is going to take 2 parameters. The first one is, what do you want the name of the item to be? So you see, whether it's a parent or a child, they all have names. Source, main, whoislookup, Bucky, IML. So this is just the name of your list item. And the second one is, what is the parent of it. So I'm going to make this root. Now notice, every single one of these items, they all have parents. Not all of them have children. For example, who is lookup? This doesn't have a child, but they all have a parent. You see that? So what I'm going to do is, like I said, make a method, and it's pretty much just going to make all of these branches for you really quick. So again, Bucky and Megan, they're going to be our two main branches. They're just going to stick right on the root, and now we can just add a bunch of items to Bucky. So I'll say so one of my favorite things is the new Boston, and the parent, of course, would be Bucky. And let me just add two more items as well. So the new Boston, YouTube, like YouTube, and what else? Chicken. Now we can do the same thing for Megan. Except we need to change all these to Megan. So Megan, 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 and only add two items for her. So what does Megan like? She probably likes, I don't know, glitter, and she probably likes makeup. All girls like makeup. Alright, so now we have our pretty much hierarchy as we can visualize it right now. We're going to have our main root, and then we're going to have another branch called Bucky, and whenever we expand it, it's going to show my 3 favorite items, and whenever we expand Megan, it's going to show her 2 favorite items. So after that, we can actually start putting the entire tree together. So say create tree, and let me scroll down a little bit. Alright, so tree, remember we declared it way up here. It's our overall main encompassing everything, is equal to new TreeView, and the one parameter that you need is the root. So remember, all trees need a main trunk, a main root, and ours is just named root. Now after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that tree and I'm going to say set show root equal to false, because remember, this root, it doesn't really show anything important. It's just a container for all the good stuff. So if we didn't throw this line of code in here and we just set show root equal to true, then we would need to expand root before we saw Bucky and Megan, and it would pretty much be a waste of time, because why would we want to make the user expand this every single time just to get to this stuff, you know, an extra step that they don't really need. Now the last thing that we need to do in order to actually display this on the screen is we call layout, and we add it a little bit differently than other items that we have been adding. We call get children add tree. So this is going to stick on the screen, but remember, we didn't set up that method to make our branches yet. So let's go ahead and do that right now. And whenever we create our branches, again, what we're doing is we're pretty much just going to add all of these items to whatever branch we're trying to create. So public tree item string make branch. So again, our branches, of course, are tree items. Everything on our tree is an item. So we're going to make one of these branches and return that item. So again, whenever we make the branch, as we could see, it took 2 parameters. The first one is what is the text that you want to appear for your list item, and the second one is what is the parent. So I'll just say string title and tree item parent. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is we pretty much need to take that title and create a new item. So just you know, take the new Boston, make it its own list item, YouTube, make it its own list item, and chicken, make that its own list item. So again, this is a tree item. Everything in your tree is an item. String, and I'll just call it an item. Equal to a new tree item. Accidentally hit cap locks. Yes, I did. Title. So that's going to take the first value, whatever we pass in, glitter, makeup, chicken, and it's going to make it a new list item. And also, another thing that I want to do is I want to take item, set expanded, and set this equal to true. Because remember, the first time we're going to use this method for each branch, we're just going to be sticking it on the root. For example, Bucky is going to have sub items. So by default, I'm just going to have all of these expanded, and I already talked to you guys about why that is. Now, the next thing I want to do is this. We're pretty much going to go through, and each of these items, we're going to want to stick on its main parent branch. So the parent, get children, add item, boom, just like that. And our tree, or excuse me, our branch is now built at this point. So return item, and that's going to return the branch. So, well, there you go. All right, so now that is it. Let's go ahead and run this and check it out. So everything is expanded. Again, our root, let me show you guys. See, look at it right now, how it's set up pretty much as we expected. I'll show you guys what happens if we don't, where are you at? So if we don't have set show root equal to false, you see how we have an empty root, and then we pretty much need to expand it to get to all our good stuff. That is why I decided to hide that, kind of, you know, a waste of time for the user. So anyways, what we did is we made a tree, set up our branches, and then we made a cool little method that we can just go through and start building our branch item by item. Now, there's no really logic or, you know, behind the scenes cool functionality taking place at this point. So what we're going to be actually doing is this. I'm going to set it up where you can actually click one of these items and it's going to print out right here. Now we have the problem that we had with the drop down list where it doesn't emit any action. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to stick a listener on each of those items. So in order to do that, we can just put it right under, whenever we're done building the tree, we just call tree, get selection model, selected item property. So for each item on that tree, what we can do is we can add a listener to it, and all this listener is going to do is it's going to pretty much be kicked off whenever you click the item. So you guys already know how to do this. It's going to pass in 3 parameters, the old value and the new value. And again, what this lambda is pretty much a shorthand way of making a function. Your parameters go right here and your body goes on the right hand side. And if you just have a single line of code, then you just type it like that. But I'm going to have a couple lines in here, so make sure to stick them in curly braces. And all I'm going to say is this: if the new value, in other words, if the item that they selected is not equal to null, then just print it out. So system out print line, and the value of that item is just the new value, get value. Alright, so now I think everything looks good. Run it and check it out. So by default we have Bucky selected, that's why I printed out Bucky. The new Boston, YouTube, chicken. You can even click Bucky again, it'll print out Bucky, Megan, glitter, makeup. And if you ever collapse one of these, then it's not going to print out because you didn't select it. But you can also collapse it by double clicking it, and whenever you do that, it counts as a selection. So, you know, I just want to point that out. But there you go. You know, a lot of terminology and a lot of weird things to set it up, but pretty much all of the hard work takes place in this method. The rest is just easy, cheesy, beautiful. Cover girl. Alright, got this makeup stuck in my head now. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and all of this code is going to be on my GitHub page. So every time you make a tree, you're not going to feel like typing all this. Just go over my GitHub page, copy it, plop it in your program, and yeah, thank you guys for watching. Like I said, see you later.